You are not going to believe what is happening in the real estate market. Now, every single month, I go over what is happening here in Southwest Florida, and we have some really interesting news. And again, our two main counties, Lee County and Collier County, are acting different from each other in some significant ways. And it's a little different than where it's been. It's sort of the opposite direction of where it's been going. So what am I talking about? Every single month we go over this, and we're going to be looking at our year-over-year differences between Lee County, which is basically Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres, Estero, Bonita Springs, and Collier County, which is primarily Naples and Marco Island. So as we get into this, we're going to look. So we have, first of all, our closed sales. This one's interesting, and this is where sort of the change starts to happen. Here in Collier County, you can see we had 334 single-family homes sell over the course of the past month. That is down 9% year over year. Fairly significant as far as that's concerned. 1,207 sold during the same period in Lee County, but that number is up 9%. So we have Collier down 9%, we have Lee County up 9%, so there's more activity happening this year compared to last year compared to Collier, which is slower. Now, in terms of median price, this is really interesting. We have Collier County, which is Naples. It's always going to be higher than what Lee County is. That median price is now $775,000, which is exactly what it was the same time last year. And then in Lee County, we have $395,000 as the median price for a single family home. That's down 5% year over year. And in fact, at $395,000 for the median price, this is the first time since November of 2021 that single family homes had a median sales price of under $400,000 in Lee County. And so I just hear like buyers rejoicing that pricing, has come down a little bit and become more affordable for people. So if you're a buyer, that's really good news. Now, days on market here, 66 days in Collier County. That's up 40% over last year. And then in Lee County, we're at 51 days on market before you can expect a contract, and that's up 34%. So we're talking about this very often, that it is taking longer to sell a home in this market than it was last year. Last year took longer than the year before. The year before took longer than the year before, which I believe was 2021, and that's when we had the fastest pace of sales we've ever had. So it's just been getting slower and slower and slower as far as the pace of sales. Now, when it comes to the new listings, we had 448 new listings come on the market in Collier County. That's up 6% over last year. So we're adding inventory there. And then we had 1,579 new listings in Lee County, and that's up 5%. So modestly more people putting their homes on the market this year compared to last year. Pending inventory, this is a really interesting one. We have 1,229 homes that are pending currently in Collier County, and that's up 83% year over year. So significantly more that are under contract. And I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit because it's just an interesting number. And then in Lee County, we have 2,341 that are currently under contract, and that's up 18%. So homes are still selling. I mean, that's sometimes you'll hear in the media that homes are not selling and the market's crashing, all these things. That is not actually what's happening. Homes are still selling, but they're taking longer to sell. And we have a significantly larger number of properties that are pending compared to what we did last year. And so why is that? That's a really good question. And I quite frankly don't think that I have the 100% answer on that. I can speculate a bit. And one of the things that has started to happen in this marketplace is that we're starting to see some concessions. We're starting to see some sellers who are willing to accept contingencies, and typically those things extend the contract period. So if you have homes that are under contract for a longer period of time, we're gonna have more pending, even if the new pending, the ones that are newly going under contract is not significant. If they're taking longer to sell because of other contingencies, let's say, for example, there's a home sale contingency that a seller is now willing to entertain, which they wouldn't entertain previously. Typically, there's going to be a longer closing time frame. That's where the total amount of pending inventory could increase if they're not closing at the pace that they're going under contract. That's the best that I can do with that information, but there could be something else going on. So if you feel like you have an answer to that, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Okay, then we have our month supply. In Collier County, we're looking at 11.8 months of supply. Let's call it 1 year. That's up 162% year over year. So given the current pace of sales and the amount of inventory that we have, it's 1 year's worth of inventory to satisfy that demand. So the demand isn't that strong compared to the supply. If we're looking at 1 year, that puts us well into a buyer's market territory in Collier County. And then we're right at 7 months worth of inventory in Lee County, which is up 67% year over year. And so that's the pace of sales versus the supply is going to give us that amount of inventory there. And so with that number, you would think the overall inventory would be significantly higher than what it's been. And what I can tell you is that our inventory over the course of the past 3 to 4 months has actually come down a bit. But you've got to remember, we're in the middle of summer right now. That is not our high selling season. Our high selling season is typically the colder winter months up north, and that's when the snowbirds come down here. And so that's generally January, February, March, April. Those are the higher selling months. And what happens is, like, our inventory does typically come down a little bit at this time in the summer because not as many people put their homes on the market, because they might want to wait until season rolls around to have a better chance of getting some of those snowbirds as potential buyers for their property. So I've got some other news for you to share as well. The Hometown Heroes program that I have talked about in this, where first-time home buyers and people who are considered local heroes in the state of Florida, that program funded for $100 million, and that is now freshly out of money. So that's a home buyer home down payment assistance program, and that's out of money. So $100 million, boom, gone. So we've been talking about how that was going to get snagged up real quickly. If you took advantage of that, congratulations. If not, don't sit next time that I tell you got to jump on something, because those types of things do happen quickly. Well, I appreciate you watching. As always, if you could do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. That always helps the YouTube algorithm show a little love our way for putting in the work on these videos. And as always, please leave a comment below. Would love to hear from you. What do you think's going on in the market? I'm talking about kind of macro sense of what's happening in southwestern Florida, but little pockets are acting differently. So what's happening where you are? Would love to hear from you. Have an amazing day. We'll talk soon. Thanks.